got into electric skateboards, you were one of the first creators I saw, and it was just you had such a positive attitude, and like it was just all the videos you put out had such a good quality to them, and it seemed all professional. So it was really cool, and it's like you have replay value. So I always catch myself watching your videos for a long time after, and even after I watched the reviews I went to watch, and I'm like, I'm watching reviews that I watched 4 times already, and it's cool. It's cool to see that I don't know that enjoy something so much like that.
Man, I appreciate that.
Without
Yeah,
fanning out a
because
little bit. It's just
man, thanks. Like with me, I did try to put a lot of like quality into it. You know, just because I was also using it as a way to just get better. And what's funny is I think it
yeah,
was all of the work with the YouTube videos that kind of was like the stepping stone to the film, kind of. You know, the trying to get a little bit better with each video uploaded, experimenting, adding more skits, doing different things like that. And so it's been a fun process.
yeah. I mean, you definitely every one's different, and it's had to feel like the Star Wars one and stuff. It was really cool to see. It's like, oh, this appeals to people who are outside of the sport. It's going to get them to look at it and kind of be like, oh, what are they riding around on? So it's kind of cool. I was able to share around in their groups and I don't know. It's nice to see the sport brought to other people, other eyes, and things like that. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, that Star Wars one, man, I
Yeah.
had to do it. When Backfire put out the boards and they had all the different colors, that was the first thing I said. Like when they said we're gonna send you the board, I knew. I was like, we're doing Star Wars theme. And it
Yeah.
came out
It's a
pretty
risk
cool.
too, because you take on a Star Wars fan. You take the Star Wars fans on. You never know. Sometimes that's a tough group to jump into. Sometimes they know their stuff, so it's cool. You take the risk to do it.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of
So
fun.
I understand though. I get how you said how you practicing with YouTube to kind of get your quality up on your videos, and it shows every single one. It's always better and better, and you have a good way of like portraying feel through the video. When you feel, you can kind of feel like what the message you're trying to say, and so it's cool because it's kind of I like content where you kind of feel what the creator's trying to portray in their with their I don't know, it's hard to find the word, but with their content, like their message. So it's and but I get it because like when I started Ocean State Eastgate, it was pretty much just I didn't want to start a YouTube channel putting out just any kind of content that was kind of cookie cutter stuff. I wanted to take my time, all right, figure out where my lane was, the community, and where I fit in. So it's kind of put stuff out, and I went through rough stages and learned a lot of lessons, a lot of humbling lessons, and but it gets to a point now where you kind of start seeing things turn around a little bit. It only motivates you more,
No,
and
that's awesome. Yeah, it's a
so I'm
process,
happy
like
with
for
Ocean State.
sure.
So did you have a broadcasting school? Did you go to like any kind of schooling for it? Because it just seems like you have such a natural for it, especially speaking. So
Yeah,
it's just
man. So like, well,
it seems really
how?
interesting.
Yeah, I started doing YouTube videos probably like 15 years ago, and it was mainly for like the motivational videos I was doing. So like, if you scroll all the way back to my videos, you'll see that a lot of the stuff was just like talking videos, like motivational type stuff. And I didn't transition to the Eastgate stuff until about maybe 3 years before the pandemic or something like that. And
Oh, okay.
that's when I was just having fun. Like I had discovered the Insta 360 camera, and I actually had the old 360
Okay.
camera. And I just thought it was amazing that you could ride around and film with it and see all around you. But it was like a crazy thing, and that's how I first kind of got started making the content. Just doing little regular videos like that until one day one of the I think it was Backfire was the first company to send me a skateboard to do like a review on, and it was the Backfire G3, and that video did
Oh yeah.
really well. It actually surpassed
Nice to see.
other people's reviews, and they had their video reviews up for like 7 months before mine's. And I think that one still to this day has like 20 something thousand views on YouTube, and that was kind of the start.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I remember. That's what I think. Probably backfires. Probably how I probably ended up on your channel because that was one of my first boards. That might have been why. 'Cause I don't remember why. 'Cause I don't remember how I discovered electric skateboards. I think it was looking for e-bikes. I found Casey Neistat's channel, and that just led to just the rabbit hole. I went down, bought an Amazon board for 200 bucks off of Amazon, learned the hard way, and but I didn't know. I thought it was the best thing ever. I loved it. I did 700 miles on that thing. Brakes were horrible, horrible wheels, but I thought it was the coolest thing in the world until I upgraded, and then, and I realized like, oh, okay, so there's well, there's differences between the prices, and uh, so once I upgraded to a real board, I was like, oh, okay, like this stuff can get pretty serious, and but either way, though, I would still tell anybody if you're gonna get a board and all you can get is one that's cheap and one that's not dangerous, go for it. Because
Yeah,
that's the
and I
thing, though,
think,
'cause you can get boards that are cheap.
yeah, and I think that's how a lot of people start out. You know, you just kind of get one. And I remember when I bought mine, you know, I bought the least expensive one that I could get because I didn't know if I would like it and stuff like that. And you know, so I bought it, and then it just turned out to be like game changing. And before I knew it, you know, I bought a second board so my son can have one. And you know, we just been riding ever since. You know, we gravitated toward the EUCs for a little bit. You know, did the e-skate, and it's just been a real like fun journey because just like what you were saying, man, it's liberating. It allows you to be youthful again. It allows you to explore and different things like that. Your city in like a completely different way.
Oh yeah, it opens up the world, especially to people who anything, people with disabilities or people who just never really like. I was never great at skateboarding. I liked it as a kid. I loved it, but I was never good. So it was always kind of like a. I saw this, I'm like, oh, I might be able to try that out. And you get on, you're like, oh, this is great, and you fall in love with it, and it's just one of those things where it every aspect of it kind of took like the content creation side, the boards, like the technical sides of the boards, and then just all of it. It's just dragged me right into it. And I'm like, oh, I want to be involved in all of it. But then you realize, well, I have to learn the skills to do that. So it's kind of definitely a learning process. It's cool because
Yeah, because I
it's one
never
of those things
skated.
where
I didn't start skateboarding till maybe like 2 or 3 years before we bought our first electric skateboard. No, it was longer than that. So I've been riding regular skateboards for since Jameson was like 5 and he's 12 now. So
oh,
I
okay.
rarely skated as a kid, and I really started riding regular skateboards because of Jameson, because he was like, "Dad, I want a skateboard." And I went out and I bought us both a skateboard, and was looking like a fool out there for the first couple of months. But it allowed us to bond. We used to would go to the skate park and during the summer nights, and we would skate to 2 in the morning. You know, out there just
Oh
skateboarding,
wow.
and it was just a lot of fun until we saw somebody blow by us on a electric skateboard.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's cool. See, yeah, it must be cool though, because we used to hear like, oh, my dad's a YouTuber and all that. So it must be pretty cool. Especially got cool videos to watch. So it's not like it's kind of proud to say a little bit. And
Yeah, we'll have
but
those
yeah, I can
memories for
imagine.
sure.
Oh, oh yeah, 'cause like I remember when my dad built ramps for me. So it's like now he's gonna be like, oh, we were. He's remember all the times you guys were at the skate park together and stuff. So it's always you always remember those things, especially with something that you're so passionate about. You'll remember forever.
Yep,
And
yep. Creating those memories.
so it's definitely cool seeing 'cause, like in the film, like especially all your videos, you see like all your crew, your family, you see everybody. So it was cool to see in the film too. Everybody talk and you like find a little bit about everybody. So it was really cool to see. Kind of
Yeah,
even
it
like Hayes, like him. You always see him as like the cool skateboarder guy. Oh, that guy was cool. So it's like cool to see like oh, it's like a little bit like a layer underneath and get in there and see like who is this person and stuff like that. And all of them. It was kind of cool because like each person from the film you kind of take a little bit from and connect with a little bit to what they were saying. So it was really cool to kind of I feel like everybody could probably watch it and connect with a little bit from everybody,
yeah,
and
and
that probably
that's
helped a lot of people.
yeah,
Like,
and that to me that's been the thing that has been like kind of a joy is that you know, I feel like we talked about a lot of universal themes that even if you are not a skateboarder, you could find things that resonate with you. And just the diversity that we wanted to have in the film as well. You know, we had people with different age groups, you know, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different stories, different professions that they're involved in. So it really created, like, to me, like a film that really showcases humanity and people, but then we all come together around these portable electric vehicles. And just the stories that they told, man, were just amazing to me. You know, when Mark would talk about, his story, and then you have Hayes, he would share his story. Matt would share his story. Candace, Jameson, just hearing everybody's perspective. It was so exciting, to be able to share it with the world.
I can imagine the feeling of when when that film first started up for the first time in the premiere. You got your friends and family around. That feeling must have been surreal. Like
Bro,
the excitement. I mean, what was it like?
man, it was so exciting because what happened was the first time that we showed it, it was at because I did like a continuing education film program, and it was kind of like a program to kind of for people who working professionals who want to try something different, right? So I was in this like 1 year
Yeah.
program or whatnot, and they had the screening there, and a good amount of people came. I would say maybe about 25 people from the community, maybe 30 people came to watch it. And when they watched it, they were just like, "Man, you did that." And two things stood out to me. Matt, when he saw it, he was like, "Bro, that shit is a real film." I was like, "What did you think it was gonna be?" That stood out to me. And then I remember Joff. She was like, "Patrick, that was fucking awesome." So that's how I knew that I had did something right. But it was just so exciting to be able to share that with them because we had worked so hard. They were willing to share their stories and stuff, and then for them to see it and then them to be happy about the final outcome, I was like, I did it justice for them and the time that they put in.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it felt like each person had all the stories is great. I mean, all of it. Even at the end, seeing the group ride together, and it's like it just makes you want to be part of the community and like the theme ride stuff like that. It seems so fun. It's like it seems like a I know it seems like each community is kind of like down on the East Coast. Like each one's different. You got the like because you got like North Carolina guys, you got the Georgia guys, the guys in Florida, where each one has their own kind of little touch to difference between the groups, which is cool. That when they all get together, it's probably pretty cool. That's like East Con stuff like that's probably like a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's like this unifying thing. People have different lifestyles. They live in different places, but we can all come together around something like this, a sport like this, and just to see how it's growing so much. They're racing now. We're having conferences now. We're doing a lot around the sport now, which is amazing. And it's only going to keep growing because I think that as these vehicles become more and more affordable, like even now, like you can get a board nowadays for like $450, a belt drive board that rides just as good as a boosted board did.
Yep. Mine right back there.
It, exactly. And the boosted board was $1,600. But now you can go get,
Yeah.
a board for $450 that gives you the same performance. And so as these things become more and more affordable, I just think you're going to see more and more people on them.
Yeah, 'cause definitely I think the the you got to buy to get into the hobby. I mean, it costs a little bit to get uh costs some money to get into the sport, but it's also too it's like you can get a backfire G2, which will have it's $350. You're gonna get 2,000 miles out of it. I mean, I have these two boards back here, each under now they're under $600, and they each one has 2,000 miles on it, the other one has over 1,000. So you can it might not look as nice as the other ones, but it's still gonna you can have fun. You can get what you want out of them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and
but I mean, don't
that's
get me wrong, it's tough when you want mine.
yeah, but it's your start, to get into it because the other side of it too is
Hmm.
you have a lot of skateboards now too that are costing a lot of money too. Now you see skateboards going for two, three, $4,000. So you got that extreme of it too, where you got
I
people that
know it's
are
crazy.
willing to spend all of that money for them, and then you got the people that are kind of over here. But I just think that it's fun that no matter where you are, you can get into it. It's affordable. And then even like for like down here in Atlanta, they recently passed some type of law where people will be able to get a like a tax rebate for buying an electric bike now, which is pretty cool. And that was,
Oh,
it's
that's cool.
funny that that happened because that was one of the things that we talked about in the film about how people should be able to get tax
Yeah,
breaks for purchasing these style of vehicles.
it makes a big difference. I mean, I use all year long. I mean, except for the last month or so. I mean, over here it gets pretty bad during December and February. A lot like once the snow hits, there's nowhere safe for me to go. So I just get a ride in. But usually I commute and I'll take the. I have an e-bike I use for days that snows or it's raining just to save the boards from just breaking. And the bike does it everything. Somehow going through all the snow, all the rain, and nothing's wrong with it. It's like for the price I paid for it, over 2,000 miles now, and it's like you can really get a lot of mileage out of these things and save a lot of money for gas. I mean,
Yeah.
if you took
Yeah. Some of the
the money I
guys in
spent on them,
Yeah, because some of the guys in the film, Mark, he doesn't ever drive his car. Mark rides his EUC every day, even in the rain. He has a rain suit, like the same kind of rain suit that like motorcyclists wear when they want to ride. He rides in
oh
the
yeah,
wet, man. And Hayes, that's how he gets around. So a lot of people, like you were saying, is really economical, especially like if you're in the city and stuff like that. And shoot, inflation and housing is just expensive now. Just even to
oh yeah, it's
rent,
tough.
everything is hard. It's getting real rough out
Oh
here.
yeah,
So people are always looking for ways to kind of circumvent the rising cost of just life. It's crazy.
yeah. It's like because like I could afford to drive. What it's like, living alone as a single male, it's like I can take that extra money and save it for food, things like that. Where it's like, all right, I don't have to struggle because I have PEDs, so I can use these. And but I'm lucky enough to where I can get everywhere around my city pretty easily. There's nothing too far that I can't get to.
Exactly.
So I'm lucky with that where I live, where it's not bad. But we don't have there's no bike lanes or anything like that yet. But slowly, it's coming, and
Mm.
so it's cool like seeing other. I know the other states like are seeing that they're having more bike lanes and infrastructure slowly will catch up. Because I'm not sure if it's maybe because that's so cold around the year that they're more focused on the. It seems like down south more. It seems like there's more of a bike infrastructure and a bike community than it is like up here. I'm not sure if it's
Yeah.
because of like the weather or what it is.
It's kind of funny because
Because
Atlanta.
even
Go ahead. No,
oh no,
I
I'm good.
was, yeah, I was just saying that like in Atlanta, we recently became a real friendly city as it relates to bikes and stuff like that. And the reason why that's the case is initially, like when I moved out here to Atlanta, everybody wanted to live in the suburbs. They didn't want to live in the city of Atlanta.
Okay,
They wanted to live in Cobb County,
yeah,
move out of the city, and then they would commute into Atlanta. But then as the population just kept getting bigger and bigger in Atlanta, the commute went from 30 minutes to now it might take you an hour and 15 minutes. So a lot of people started to move
oh
back
yeah,
into the city. And you had people with money move back into the city. So then they were like, look, I don't want to ride my car everywhere in the city. So that's when we started to see things, different developments like the Atlanta Beltline, which I'm sure you've seen it in some of the YouTube videos, that trail that we always ride on. It's like
oh
a
yeah,
paved trail. So you got the Atlanta Beltline, and then they have all of these street services to connect to the Atlanta Beltline all throughout the city. And a lot of that started because people with money moved back into the city and they said, hey, we don't want to just be riding our cars around. Make it easier so that we can get around. And that's when they started to put more bike lanes and Atlanta Beltline and all of these other kind of things started to come. And we've benefited greatly from it. And I would say a lot of the communities have the Esk8s, the EUCs. We have a big rollerblading community out here now too. So you'll see guys just rollerblading like crazy, like in the streets and everything. So it's crazy.
yeah. We got that. We have the East Coast Greenway over here. I think it's all supposed to connect one day, go all the way down the East Coast, but it's just taking some time. But yeah, I mean, that's a go-to place for me too. I don't like to go in the street. I got one time actually. It's funny. I talk about like infrastructure and stuff. I was going to work one time. I had drinking a coffee. on my skateboard, and boom, I was going down. I see like it was that's a new road that I never really was on very much, so it's unfamiliar. So I'm going down, I see a sewer grate. Like, oh no! So I hit the brakes. I just start running fast as I can. Boom! Smash my face right into a wall of the holding up like the supports of the bridge. Like, oh no,
Dang.
blood everywhere. I turn around, cops staring right at me. Like, oh geez. So I'm like, oh man. So I knew I was did something stupid, but so he comes over right away to help me out, but he had no clue what my actual board was. He thought it was just a regular skateboard. I'm looking everywhere for my remote, all confused, and then I find it, and he makes me call an ambulance with all the blood and all that. And but then I'm like asking about the laws and stuff, and it's like he wasn't really sure either. So it's kind of like it seems like I don't think a lot of people know exactly what's going on with the whole laws for all like the PVs and stuff, especially over here because it's not very common. Because I've only seen maybe 5 electric skateboarders. I've seen a unicycle guy one time, here and there, one wheeler. So it's just more e-bikes and scooters. So it's just kind of taking longer for us to kind of figure out like what's going on up in the Northeast anyway.
Yeah,
For what
and
I can
it's
tell anyway.
yeah, and I think that's everywhere, man, because a lot of times they don't know how they don't know how to classify us, so to speak. So, out here in the city of Atlanta, people don't get bothered with. But some of the guys that ride outside of Atlanta and more of the suburbs, 45 minutes outside of Atlanta, they have got pulled over because the cops are like, "What are you doing?" And they don't know what these vehicles are, especially like
Mhm.
the EUC guys. They're literally riding in the streets doing 50 miles an hour with the traffic. And then sometimes the cops are like, "Bro, what are you guys doing out here?" So I think that that's going to be one of like a really interesting thing is how do we start to regulate these videos and not even regulate, but to acclimate them into the laws and stuff because as these vehicles get faster and faster, um, I can see people wanting to say, hey, and I heard this, and I'm gonna do some more research, but somebody the other day was telling me that in some places, Saurons can't be sold because I guess they're too fast. Like you have to
Oh wow.
have like they have to be sold as if they're like motorcycles almost because of the speeds that they have.
Oh geez.
So I can see as these EUCs, like some of the new EUCs now coming out 60-mile-an-hour top speeds. And you could buy one. You don't need a license. You don't need insurance. You could be a child riding it. And, in order to ride, let's just say a moped or a motorcycle that goes the same speed, you got to be licensed. There's age limits. You got to have
Yep.
insurance. So it's going to be interesting to see like how that impacts us as I guess the laws and the stuff catch up to this technology that keeps getting put out.
Yeah, that's one way I think the film helped me too realize too, because I watched it and I like guys talk about being a better advocate for this in the street, and I'm like, oh, that's me. 'Cause I go out, 5 o'clock in the morning. I know there's no one out on the roads, but I know at this time of day that there's no one on the roads. But people watching the videos, cops, the police station might be watching. You never know who's watching my videos and me blaring down Main Street or downtown, not thinking much of it, and it made me realize like, hey, maybe I should not do that and just go in the bike lanes, go in the bike East Coast Greenway, make my videos there, no, and won't hurt nobody, won't give a bad name to the sport because it's like right now, all of us, since we're the beginning ones, we're the ones that are pretty much paving the way. So if we're putting out a bad name for everybody, then it's not gonna. It's like I like to take this and look at like the early days of skateboarding. How skateboarding when it first started out, it was looked at like no one wanted nothing to do with it, and you had the early people who were the early pioneers of it, like the Rodney Mullen's, Tony Hawks, people like that, who were advocates for the sport. Like, no, this is the way it laid out the right fundamentals for everything, and it was important because now what it's grown to, it's those people and like all those the groundwork laid out is what made the sport what it is today. So it's very important.
Yeah,
And
and it's funny that you said that because that's one of the reasons why I named the film Electric Pioneers. And some people thought the film was going to be, I guess, about people that started electric skateboards. And I was looking for a catchy title, but I thought about it because even a lot of us with Esk8 and then especially with the EUCs, um, in a lot of ways we kind of are the pioneers in that we're like test dummies almost. I can remember guys riding EUCs 3, 4, or 5 years ago. They just weren't of the quality that they are now. So literally, it could cut out anything could happen while you were riding it. So in a lot of ways, a pioneer they kind of go out, but they don't know all the dangers. So they're the ones that encounter all the dangers, and then we make all the adjustments based on the pioneers that went out. So that's kind of like one of the reasons why I named the film "Electric Pioneers," in that I feel like we are the pioneers, for this technology. And when I say we, just everybody in general who's just kind of riding right now, because the technology 3 years from now is not going to look like it is today. It's going to be exponentially better.
Oh, imagine what I can't imagine what the board's gonna be like in 3 years from now, or any of the PVs. I always bring it back to board, but I'm a PV for all PVs. Like so I got the e-bike and stuff, and but it's definitely yeah, especially with safety and stuff too, because like we need to. Yeah, people might not like the fact that we wear full face helmets and that we're, because one of my real big accidents, and it was life changing. But when I first got an electric skateboard, I got the gear, my real board, my Amazon board, it wasn't fast enough to really get hurt, but I got my real board. I was like, all right, get the full face, the helmet, the pads, all that, and all right, cool. I go out in the street. It must have took 2 minutes before people yelling out the cars at me. What are you doing? And you got, oh, what? People were mad. See, people were just genuinely mad that I have a helmet on with a longboard because they don't know what I'm on. So me, all right, I go home thinking in my head, I'm not gonna wear a helmet next time. I go out, I'm not wearing a helmet. I don't want to get yelled at. I don't want people picking on me.
Mm.
Going home to get coffee on the bike lane, mind my own business, drinking coffee, and it was right around the time the cranberry juice guy was he was going viral, drinking the cranberry juice. Some cars are going next to me. I'm thinking I'm cool. Look at me. Don't know. Couldn't tell you exactly what happened, but before I know it, I was down. I mean, I felt my whole face hit the ground. My shoulder shattered. I was just not good. And I went home. I'm like, all right, I'll be fine. Tried to jump in the shower real quick, and I'm like, oh no. So I went right to the hospital. Shattered. 8 months out of work, sitting on the couch, and a little bit of problem and everything.
Oh
But
wow! So you were out 8 months because of that fall.
oh, oh yeah, it was tough. Yeah, it was 5 screws, a plate. Um, about 8 months. It was maybe it might be a little longer. It might be exaggerating the length a little bit, but it happened during quarantine too, so that kind of made it a little worse because like it was right in the pandemic. So when I went into the hospital, it was just no one was supposed to be there, so that been bad timing. But it's like if I would have wore gear though, all that would have none of that it wouldn't have happened. I mean, my face hit, even though I didn't have any facial damage, and like the shoulder probably would have happened either way. But it's like it could have been really, really bad. And it was all just because somebody yelled at me, like picked on me, like make fun of me out of the car. And I was something, insecure about it. And so it's like kind of like you need to wear the gear because you don't want to get hurt, and it's not worth it. It's but don't get me wrong though, because during the time, it was about 8 months on the couch, from sitting there. My dog kind of couldn't move, waiting for surgery, got surgery, and as a recovering addict and stuff like that, when all of a sudden you get hurt and you're prescribed all of a sudden you're prescribed opiates and medications, you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Because now I'm sitting here, and, I was nervous too because I was just about getting back. I was just getting really into Esk8. I had my first real board, and so I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there at the beginning. I sold the board right away. I got rid of that board, and the week goes by. I get surgery, and during surgery, I woke up, and the first thing I thought was I need a new board again. I was dreaming that I was riding an electric board. Went home after surgery, ordered one, even while I was still messed up, and so I'm sitting there on the couch. I'm like, oh man, I'm worried. I'm like, pain medications, this and that. But I'm watching YouTube videos and watching people like Ryan Van Duzer, he's a bike packer. Watching people like Scott. I'm like, for some reason, it just made me realize, like, no, it gave me this kind of whole dream of like, you got to get out there and do things. You got to kind of give me something to look forward to out where I was worried about getting hooked on drugs. I ended up becoming out of the situation, hooked on electric skateboarding and PVs and being involved in the community. Because I wouldn't have started Ocean State Esk8 if I wasn't sitting there like on the couch with nothing to do. I was like, I want to get involved somehow. So let me kind of learn the community a little bit, be involved, and work on myself. And it's cool how PVs could give you something where, because like me, I never really had much of an educational background when it came to anything of like content creation or anything like that. So all of a sudden I'm filled with all these hopes and dreams of like I want to create. Like I've never created anything in my entire life, and now I want to create. And I'm creating things, and I'm healing. I'm feeling better and better as the process is going on. And I'm just like it's really good to create things, and it's like when you ever create anything in your whole life and you create something, it's a really good feeling. So it's cool how something like a hobby can get you into just the whole aspect of it. It's like I want to be immersed in all of it, and it's just how like a simple injury or just time to think where I'm worried about depression from years of being the addict, and then all of a sudden I'm come with this test of like, all right, now you're having a test of you can either stay in that lane or you can go somewhere else. So I chose I'm gonna go somewhere else without actually really thinking about it. It was all of a sudden I realized at the end of it, they're like, hey, you have scripts to pick up. Do you want to get them? Oh, really? I guess. And then it comes to the point where they're asking like, do you need a script? Do you need any more medication? And I said before they even asked the question, I'm saying no. And I'm like, for the first time, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, wow, like I've never done that because it's like I've never been hooked on one thing and nothing like that. But it's always been everything was just too much of whatever. And so it was just like something. It's like where I didn't actually realize that it was having that effect on me until after the fact. And even now, where it's like years down the road, where it's only continuously made me improve as a person and brought me in like new ways of I don't know, just new outlook on life totally. Where it's like you can create, you can become something, you can do whatever you want to be, and evolve it around something you're really interested in. And so like I think that's something that PBs could brought to me, and it'll bring that in other aspects to other people. So I think that's why I was sitting there made me realize I want people to have that feeling too, where like this thing could save you if you're in that position, or if it's just something you want to go out on the weekends to do. Whatever, everyone has it for their own reason. But for me, like it just PBs made a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, it made a huge difference, and you know, from me doing it, it allowed me to like tap into like more of the creative side of stuff. And like I was telling the Black Cobra in his podcast, from me saying let's when my son said I want a regular skateboard and we doing that, then it led to us doing that, and then we wrote a children's book about learning how to ride regular skateboards, and then we started making the YouTube videos, and then we write children's books about EUCs and electric skateboards, and then a documentary comes. So it's just like this transformational period of our lives that happened because of it, and it's exactly what you're describing. You started to make this. You got the board, then you start making this content. It gives you, some sense of purpose and different things like that. And it's just funny how something like this can, impact people in so many different ways. And you never know where it's gonna like end or stop. And it's one of the things that's always like surprised me is that like so many guys in this space, when you kind of find out a little bit about them, you find out that a lot of these guys, man, they're in tech. They do stuff in tech or whatever. So it's just been like a great experience. And like meeting you, right? We would never have met. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for, you know, PVs. I talked to people in other countries. I never knew anybody in another country before this. I just didn't. And now it's like,
Yep.
people in other countries and stuff because of these vehicles, It's crazy.
hmm Yeah, I never thought because yeah, especially being in the U.S., it's like kind of like think I never thought I'd have friends over in Australia or in the UK. It's like now it's like they have people all over the world where I can easily shoot a message and they're gonna talk right back, and it's really cool. 'Cause I never thought that would have happened, and even like with Ocean State Eastgate, like 'cause I started that just to share electric skateboarding stuff. That was it. I like somebody's post, let me share it. Let me. There was no agenda. Just do it 'cause I like it because it's I don't know if people ever tried showing like just show support. It makes you feel good. It's nice to like be along for someone's ride and share and see them grow too. It's fun. I enjoy it anyway. It's an aspect I liked where I never thought I would. And but then that also led to like now the skateboarding. I mean, I got back into skateboarding again. Like I'm not great, but I do it, and I realized that to be part of the community, you don't have to be the best skateboarder. You could do so many different aspects of the community that's so crucial to being part of the community. And whether it's you're making content, whether you're making flyers, whether you're making shirts, whatever it is, it's very important. And that's why it's cool. It's like even like music community. Like I made a reel one time for Hunter Root. He great musician, songwriter. So everybody always makes reels for music they like. So I go and I no think I'll go post it in one of his group for his band, Medusa Disco. Go post it there. All of a sudden, boom! People, this is great for the first time ever. People saying they like my stuff, and it's like, oh wow! And it makes you realize like, oh well, now I'm gonna make my quality a little bit better because before I didn't think nobody was watching. So now also, oh, people are watching. I'm gonna try a little bit harder, keep you a little bit more honest, and I mean, I put out some bad stuff where I had a Metro PCS phone that you would throw up, and it was I don't know how I posted those videos, but at the same time, it's like people like you'd still show love even though I know you're like yeah, it's rough, but it was just a way for me to kind of practice my way, and then I finally got up to where I got a better camera, and then that happened, so I'm like cool, I got a better camera, and like they said they like my stuff, which is cool, and which I really like the music, so it was great. So it's all of a sudden now I'm like talking to them. I'm friends with I could talk to the band and talk to their people involved in the community, and also now I'm part of another community. So it's like now I'm part of a music community and a skateboarding community. And now I want to learn how to play guitar, and now I have a guitar sitting back there. Never played music in my life, but I've always said, oh, I wish one regret in my life is I wish I would have played music. So it's like things like without PVs, I never would have. I wouldn't be having skateboards back there or the guitars or my it would just be it's crazy how it opens up avenues of friendships and things that are outside of the sport. So it's really cool and surprising because it's not what I expected because it's made some good friends.
No, I agree 100%. You don't know where it's going to take you. And I remember those days. I think we all start off like I remember when I started making videos. I thought they were so cool, and then I look at them now like, damn, that was trash, right? uh, but that's kind of like part of the process of just like
Oh
growing
yeah.
into making your content and stuff. And that's how we get better.
Now,
But it's like enjoying the process, along the way, which is crazy. Let me fix a setting on my camera real quick. It's getting on my nerves that it keeps bouncing back and forth in ISO. Let me fix something real quick. But we can still talk because I can hear you.
it's nuts. So that's why when you film your stuff, you ever happy with the editing file? Like when you watch something, you always think, oh, I could have edited this there or edited that there. It's like I don't know if there's ever any kind of even when you watch like Electric Pioneers, there's parts where you're like, oh well, I could have did this differently or because it's like no matter what. I mean, my stuff's different. I'm not saying mine's on level of yours because I'm doing short content, but it's like whenever I watch things back, I'm like, how did I miss that? Or I should have did this or that, or I don't know. Curious in your thoughts.
Yeah, man, all the time. Like Electric Pioneers came out a year and 4 months ago, and when I watch it, I'm real proud of it, but I definitely see things that like I could have did better. And that's because I was new. It's my first film. So it was like learning every single thing about filmmaking that you can, and I still have so much more to learn. But when I watch it to this day, I'm like, damn, I could have did that better, and I wish I would have did this a little bit better. But like I said, I've had to say that that's kind of like part of the process of just one of the things that somebody told me in filmmaking is they said, make the project, put it out there, and move on. And that's what they would tell me. And it was kind of like hard for me to do that initially, but now I'm like, yeah, make the project, put it out there, let the people see it, and move on. So I can imagine, like just like what you're saying, when you post stuff on your own and you see it, and you're like, man, I wish I had a different song, or I wish I had made a transition like this. And it's the same thing with like Electric Pioneers, and then even like some of the stuff that I'm trying to work on now. It has nothing to do with like skateboarding and stuff, but like other documentaries I'm working on and stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of like part of the process of just trying to get better, but then not beating yourself up too much and giving yourself grace from the past.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I went back. I mean, as soon as someone said, "Oh," we're gonna go back and what's your link to your channel? I went back, I deleted all the old stuff that was like horrible. I mean, it was rough, but at the time, I don't know how I didn't notice, but I knew because I knew obviously like the interactions and all that. But that was also why I was doing it. I wanted to practice. Like, I mean, you have to learn somewhere, and you have to start from something. And it always seems like when you watch people's YouTube or videos or something, you're like, oh wow, they must like how do they have it? Like you got you and Scott Davies or Esk8 Unity, those guys, like all the like Drew Elliott, like you got videos that are so polished and good. It's like, did you guys go to school for this? Like, what's going on? Like, because I got my cell phone over here trying to figure it out, and it's just been such a humbling learning process, especially when it comes to like algorithms and stuff, like things like that. If you want to say, oh, it's the algorithm, it's them. That's why they're not seeing my videos or I'm not getting interactions. But I realized like it was an off season, so I'm like, I can't skate. I have no footage, so I just took a Roddy Mullen video and put Medusa disco music on it to have people hear their music because it's ways to they can't do it, so I can. So I'm like, let me make the skate video, and all of a sudden it gets 300,000 views and shared 500 times, and you're like, oh, okay, so this is all of a sudden it's not what it is. It's people. The content matters. It's not just you can't force yourself onto somebody's screen. You can't. It's just not going to work like that. And so it's been cool learning process from that, seeing like, because I mean that's what got me back to skateboarding, was messing around with skateboarding clips, come here, put music to it, or adding like just like the interviews on top of them and stuff, and without trying to like take anybody's content and things like that. And and I'm seeing the results. So I'm like, okay, so it is which I can't compare myself to Roddy Mullen, but it's you can see how no, if you put the work and the content out there, that people the quality is what people want, and the context of it too, because context does create content. So that's if you could tell a story but without the right context, it's not going to matter. So I feel like it's very good. It's why I like the videos because you always portray the feel. And then the YouTube videos, like the ones I watch, like venture videos, you can always get the emotion. You feel the emotion through the video, and I think it's very important. It's like even photography and things like that, where you can feel kind of like what the emotion you're supposed to get from it. And I think that's pretty cool with your stuff.
Yeah, I think people you got to meet the people where they are sometimes, and people can resonate with it. Sometimes the quality stuff it gets a lot of views, and then sometimes it doesn't. But I do think that people are looking for connection. I remember I was reading a article, and it was talking about how even though we live in a time where people are the most connected we've ever been at any point in human history, because we have internet, social media, text, call, FaceTime. We're super connected. People are still the loneliest that they've been because
Yep.
people don't. A lot of people don't have real relationships anymore. We have these like superficial relationships with people. Oh, I got 5,000 Facebook friends, but if you really needed somebody, who could really be there for you? So I think people are always looking for connection, and we connect on so many different ways, whether it's like you were saying how you put that music track on that video and people really connect and resonate with it. We make YouTube content or whatever the case may be. People are looking for connection, and I think that that's like so important, and I think that that's one of the reasons why people resonate with the film. Like I was at a film festival last night, and there was a film showing that was about like the underground kind of like graffiti element in Atlanta. And I'm
Oh,
watching the film and I'm like, damn, I mean, their film was amazing. Like I could tell these people have been doing film for forever. But I was like, it's literally the same ideas and concepts of like what Electric Pioneers had, how it was kind of explaining where this culture started with, why people are doing it, and then where it's going to head. So connections is so important. I don't even think we mentioned. Let me just say it, but we waited real long. But if anybody's watching, the name of the film is called Electric Pioneers, and it's
oh,
available on Tubi. I don't even think we even said that. People probably listen like, okay, what's the name of the film and where
I don't think
is
so. I don't know what the guys talk about. Keep saying the film, yeah.
it? Yeah.
It's good though. It's worth. I really liked it. I did. I mean, when it first started up, I had goosebumps. I mean, because you never know. Sometimes when you hear a story, like it might hit really close to home. So, so I'm kind of nervous. You like never know. Like, how am I gonna feel here? And it was great. It was like as soon as it started rolling on, you're like, oh, it's like you hear everybody's stories and going, and then what was it Beyond the Lens? By the time that came, I thought it was over. And I'm like, oh, that's good. Then all of a sudden Beyond the Lens comes on. I'm like, oh, geez. And then you start like, oh, this is cool. Because then it's like now it's showing a little more into it. I'm like, oh, this is great. That's when I like really like able to, when you connect with people and seeing everybody's thoughts and like, how like opening everybody was to how people like their reactions to other people's stories and stuff. And it's like it seemed like such a safe place and like good. And it was like it seemed like really great.
Yeah, that
It's
element of it
informative.
was a lot of fun, and I never really tell people about it because I want them to be surprised. I want you to watch Electric Pioneers, and then that comes on. He's like, oh shoot, it's the second episode, you
Yeah,
know. And I've had a couple people.
I would
One
like
guy
more.
was like, "Is it only two episodes?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "How many more is supposed to be?" But people were like, "I wish it was more," you know. But it
Oh yeah.
feels good, you know, to know that people like it, and that people from the community like it and appreciate it, and even people outside the community like it and appreciate it. You know.
Oh yeah, 'cause everybody in the film, they must be happy too. I mean, you get to see themselves on a big screen or see yourself on Tubi, it's pretty cool. Even if you weren't one of the ones giving your story, if you're off to the side, and you're kind of seen riding, that's cool. It's like you're part of the crew, so that's really neat.
Yeah.
Especially around here, it's like I don't go ride. I've never ridden with anybody, so for me to see people riding together and stuff, it's like which I could do a better job of getting out and going to see meet people. But it's like the whole community aspect. What I know about it is mostly from what I see online. So it's like I don't actually know it's like to be out with other riders, other people on PVE. So it's like that's the whole aspect where I'm missing out on. I'm out of touch with. Whereas like I go online, it's a lot of like it seems a lot of commercialized still with the whole boards. You gotta have this board, or it's all about what board you have. Whereas we're skateboarding, all boards the same size, and it's kind of like there's differences, but it's not at the same time. Because like I don't, I think it would help if I got out with people and realized like, oh no, it's like we're all here together. And but I know that's the way it is. It's just different around here without ever seeing anybody. It's
Yeah.
like I think I saw a guy on US one time. I chased him down, but he wasn't very he didn't want to talk.
I've done that. Like Jason in the film, that's how I met Jason. One night I was on a belt line. It was probably like 11 o'clock at night. I was riding by myself, and I was just going up and down, and I saw him going the opposite direction, and I turned around like, oh shit, another rider, and I accelerated up to him, and we just been cool ever since. Jason is like super cool. Like he's an amazing artist too. I showed like there was a part
Oh
where
yeah.
the camera was like over his shoulder and he was drawing an EUC. Like he's like a crazy artist. And he just draws all kind of stuff. But yeah, that's how I met him. I just turned, hey, what you riding? And that was very early on in my electric skateboard days where I didn't really know
Oh
anything about electric skateboards and stuff.
yeah. What my buddy got? He's got a Meepo NLS Pro, but he doesn't get out too often. He's a nurse. He's kind of busy. He's always working a lot. But once in a while, I get out with him. I gave my brother one of my backfire G2, so that thing's still going. And somehow the backfire boards, and they last. I mean, that thing went through snow and it's going strong. I mean, it's not beautiful, but it runs great somehow.
Yeah, those old hub motor boards,
Yeah.
man, they ride forever. Um,
You just
they literally, and it's probably just the simplicity of the design too, because you don't have all this other stuff like belt drive or gear drive, all this stuff to break necessarily, and they just ride. Like I gave one of my friends one of my really old hub motor boards that I had. That board I probably had that board. It was the first board I bought, and I gave it to my friend, and it still rides. It's like 7 years old, and it's a
oh
hub
hell yeah,
motor board.
that's
It's
cool.
ridiculous.
I liked it. I'd buy it again if it was still on the market. I don't think the D2s are. It was the old Galaxy, the blue with the blue grip tape. I don't think
Yep,
they're out anymore.
I remember it.
You know. And, and also it's like since you like you like to do like motivational kind of like help you want to help a cause and help people. Were you always like that? Was that something that growing up did you always have like like I'm gonna help people and like you're always good at speaking and like this is like no that was the path you wanted to go down?
Yeah, that's a good question. It kind of really started when I graduated college. I used to work for the state, and I was always working with youth who would get in trouble. So I would have to go down to the court and be like kind of like a support system to the young men. And I was down there and I was just so tired of seeing these kids that were 14, 15, 12, 13, 17 years old going before the judge getting sentenced for breaking in people's houses, robbing people, doing stuff. And a lot of people complain, they're like, what's wrong with the youth or what's wrong with them? And I said, instead of just complaining and pointing a finger, what could I do? And I started doing a lot of public speaking. That's when I wrote my very first book called Decisions, A Young Man's Guide to Avoiding the Traps. And spoke in jails, youth detention facilities, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, colleges. So I spoke a little bit everywhere. And I was really going pretty hard. And then the pandemic hit. And then, all of that public speaking and stuff died off because, you couldn't go nowhere and that kind of thing. But then that's when I kind of found Esk8 and more into the content creation space. But then realized I could still empower and inspire, because when we would write those children's books and stuff, a lot of people would say they had never seen a black children's book author. They had never seen a black children's book child author. So we would go places, read our books to people, talk to people and stuff like that, and was still empowering people through Esk8 and PEVs. So it's like kind of all kind of running full circle. It's kind of crazy how that worked. I never knew I would, to be honest about it, would be speaking and stuff. You just sometimes similar to like you with the content creation, you fall into it, and then you look up and it's like you're just doing it, and that's kind of like how it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to feel people. It's important to feel like you connect people too, because there's a lot of like motivational speakers out there. Especially now, we got like Andrew Tate, David Goggins, and stuff. But so it's like people, you have to have something to connect with. You can't just have these people tell you something you have no like. It's like I'm not a millionaire and have sports cars. Like how am I gonna have you tell me how to feel? But if you have someone who's like, oh well, you riding the same thing I'm riding. We're doing the same things for fun. So it's like it's kind of it's cool to have it's important to have people you can't that want to do those type of things, help others, and that you can connect with. Because you never know who you can connect with. You can connect with anybody. It could be you never know. It's like you could change someone's life just by one thing. It's like that's what I find out a lot. That's why I find out learning doing content or watching content and stuff more. It's like you watching YouTube. Because I got heavy into it during the pandemic. So realizing that you could connect with a creator. So it's like realizing, telling somebody that you made a difference. It makes a big fucking difference a different difference for some people. So it's cool. I think it's a lot of respect for you doing that for taking time and like helping people because you don't see it very often, especially when a lot of people you always want to do things for an agenda or for doing something just for the sake of it is it's a pretty remarkable thing.
Yeah, and like what you said earlier, it feels good to just give to people sometimes and don't expect nothing back. And it
Yeah.
I have students, and I'm about to give my age, but I've had students. I used to teach college. I had students in my college class that are like, "Are you Mr. Phillips?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. You came and spoke to me when I was in the fifth grade. You taught me in the sixth grade," and I'm like, "Damn!" And they're they're college students in my class. And the fact that they remember you, you know, that all them years have gone
Yeah,
by and they remember you. Or I was in Kroger the other day and saw one of my former students and she recognized me, Mr. Phillips, you know. So we're making a difference, and you never know where it stops, you know, because the smallest stuff that we do, you know what I'm saying? Like even when you shared your testimony and your story when we talk offline, that kind of stuff, when people hear it, it empowers them. I could, and they're like, man, I could do that too. You know, I don't have to do that anymore. You know, I could whatever, and that kind of stuff is like game changing for people, and it makes people feel like they're not alone.
yeah, definitely. That's why I think showing support and love is just such an easy thing to do, especially
It and it don't cost
especially when
nothing.
you mean it. It's something that you no, not at all. It's like even when it comes to like the skateboarding stuff, it's like I go share someone's thing, like I can know like I'll see something that they're not having it. Just by you sharing their skate clip might make them skate more than they might say I'm gonna go out and skate today, or they might say I'm gonna go do this, and you never know. It's like little things like that. Like I know things how it affects me, so you only think how it affects other people too. And I don't know. But it's definitely been a surprise. Like you said, like help just showing support, and like how much that actually you can find enjoyment from it, and
Exactly.
without an agenda for wanting something, or it gives you a feeling. Because in a way, it makes you feel selfish a little bit too. Like that's what I wonder too. Like when you're saying like oh I wanna help, I wanna give to people, but it's also kind of makes me feel selfish too because it helps. It's giving me a feeling for wanting to help. So it's kind of I don't know. It's a little weird. It's it's like it makes you wonder, am I selfish wanting to help wanting to give to people? So it's kind of like I don't know. It's odd, strange feeling. Doesn't
Nah,
make any sense.
I mean, if it's coming from a genuine place, you know, I think you're good. You know, the one thing I don't like is, you know, you see on social media, people helping somebody and they filming them while they helping them. It's like, you know, you gotta be real
Oh yeah,
careful.
that's bad. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
an,
you gotta be real careful,
mhm.
man. I just feel like if it's coming from a genuine place and stuff like that, then you know, I feel like you're good to go because you never know, man.
Yeah,
That kind gesture, that kind word, or whatever, that could be the thing that save somebody. You know, because we don't know what people are going through, man. Like it's expensive out here, man. It is like I was looking at
yeah.
a graph and it was talking about like rent and housing prices, and it was like skyrocketing. It was like skyrocketing, and then they had income, and the income throughout the years had like plateaued. So it's just like it's just crazy out here, man. And you know, in terms of
I,
what people are dealing with.
yeah, it's even me. It's like rent price is so high up here, especially in Massachusetts. It's rents are out of control, and I'm moving in with my I'm moving in with my brother. We're gonna be figuring out doing a thing together because he's got a house, and we're gonna just so we can save some money because it's tough on your own. Why do it alone? I'm living on my own, my dog, my cat. So it's like, why would we struggle for nothing when we can help each other? Because it's tough. Rent's so high, so it's unbelievable. So it's like it's just not an easy place for, especially for like a anybody, but even like a single person. Like I can imagine if I had a kid, like if I had children, I don't know what I would do. It'd be hard.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, and we got to
I
do
can
something
imagine.
about that because you know, um, yeah, there was another study that came out that was talking about how you have so many adults moving back home with their parents. You know, people in their 20s,
Yeah,
30s, and 40s moving back home. And because what we're doing it's not sustainable, man. You know, we if we continue down this path, what is the quality of life going to look like in 5 to 10 years from now? Um, you know, it's just something's got to change. I don't know how long this thing
yeah, it's scary.
records. This is the longest I've ever recorded on this thing because it's saying an hour now. I just hope it doesn't cut off like Zoom.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how it works, but we could keep going. I know Zoom will cut off on you, but this but but yeah, man. I just feel like you know something's got to change, and we just got to make it so that people can have a quality of life without killing themselves. You know, everybody I know has 3 or 4 jobs. They got a main job, 2 or 3 side hustles, You know, that ain't no quality of life. You know, how can you live like that? You know?
No. And even with yeah, it's like you work one full-time job, and it's like you don't have if you have children, that means you have 4 hours. You go home, you have what 4 hours with the kids before you put them to bed, and they're sleeping. So it's like you don't actually get any time with your children or with your wife. Or and I'm lucky, so I kind of I live a single life, so it's kind of good. But I couldn't imagine if I actually had to like share time with somebody or children. Or it's unbelievable how especially without thinking money in the situation. It's like that's a whole nother. Like, you bring money into it. It's like how people do it. It blows my mind.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're 100% right. It's and I saw a meme that was just talking about that. It was like, you know, you pick your kids up at 6 o'clock, you get home, you make dinner, and you literally only get to spend an hour and a half with your child before bedtime, and then they get up and go to school. And the teachers, working in education and stuff like that in the past and stuff, we used to say it all the time when I taught. We spend more time with your children than you do. And it's just a fact. We got your kids for 8 hours a day. And while your kids may be at home on the weekends and stuff like that, or when they get home, they spend most of the time sleeping because they get home, they go to bed for 8 hours, wake up and spend a full 8 hours with us. Um, so, in America, I feel like we got to get back to that work-life balance and, let him, and I think that's also one of the reasons why we're not satisfied with the outcomes of a lot of our youth and our children is because parents are not able to parent. Mom got 3 jobs. How is mom going to parent or dad going to parent when they're
mm,
never allowed to be home because they got to put food on the table? You know?
yeah, I couldn't imagine. I was lucky. I was had like my parents home, but it's like I couldn't imagine if like my mom was going all day and like especially now because like you have to work. It's like you don't have an option really. And especially like young, like see like my family, like my brother and stuff. He's young, so like he's young. He's 21, 2 kids, and so it's like it's crazy to think like how tough it can get from here on out. It's like
Yeah.
definitely tough.
But we can do it. I feel like we can do it, man. I think, everybody just has to kind of like reframe and just kind of figure out, how they want to kind of, move forward, going forward, in life. And I think that's why a lot of people like yourself, a lot of people fell into creating content and stuff like that because it's like I
Yeah.
think everybody wants to leave their mark on society, right? Um, uh-oh. Please double check your network connection. It said that audio
Uh-oh.
upload stalled. I don't know, but hopefully it's still going and the people will hear us. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man.
No, it's tough. It's like I work 40 hours a week, and it's I don't have 2 jobs, 3 jobs, but like and it's like I make just enough to get by. So it's like how like, and that's if I mean like especially bring it back to PEDs again. Talk about safety. It's like I got when I got hurt, I was lucky during the pandemic. If I got hurt now, it's like I'll be out of work. And how am I gonna pay for anything? So it's like it's tough. I can't imagine uh even people who are worse off. That's why it's kind of like it's so tough out there for people, especially financially.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I'm such an advocate for like gear and stuff. Because one of the fastest growing segments of PEV riders is like older people. You know what I'm saying? Like people in their 30s and 40s and 50s are getting into
Yeah,
this because it allows them to have that sense of freedom or to let's say if you rode a skateboard back in the day, but your body doesn't let you kick push anymore, you can still just ride an e-skate, or EUC. And that's why that is so important, man. Like a couple of guys in our group have had to have surgery and stuff. Like one guy, he got hit by a car. A car hit him on his EUC.
oh, gee.
And so it's just like we saying, like you get hit or get hurt, and it's like if you don't have a safety net or if you got the kind of job that you need to use your body physically, it can put you in a bad a bad predicament.
Yep. Yeah, there's been times I've gone to work after a fall and I haven't been able to work right for like drive a forklift for like I think it was a good week. I couldn't, my wrist couldn't twist the handle just from falling
Mm.
and not wearing the proper gear. Um, so it's kind of, I mean, I'm 34, so I broke my first bone in my 30s, so it was a shock. I'm like, oh my God, like I never sprained anything my whole life, so all of a sudden to be shattering something, I'm like, oh boy, this is a good time to start doing this kind of stuff. But I'm glad I did. I mean, it's only I don't know how I came out of it obsessed, but
It
somehow it happened.
yeah, it reminds you how fragile the human body is. Because I never had
Oh yeah,
any major injuries or anything like that until I had a cutout on my EUC one time, and that was the first time I had ever
oh really?
had like a major injury. Um, and like I said, it makes you realize like how, until you've been hurt before, you don't realize how like the human body, man, like you could get really badly hurt on these devices, if you're not safe. For real.
Yep, that's for sure. It happens very very fast before you even blink of an eye before you know it. Uh,
Yeah.
it's scary. I mean, I think about it sometimes after my rides. I'll come home and I'll think back on my ride. I'm like, did I really do that? Like, why would like? Because I mean, I just go down some hills that I should not have been down or something like that. And it's like, if one thing would have happened, it's like, even if it's mechanical, if it's not even anything your fault, and you never know.
Yeah.
Because most of the times I crash, I don't know why I crashed. So
Yeah, you
it's
got you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful.
yeah, but it's just be safe. Don't be It was always overconfidence on my part and lack of fear. What it was. Always thinking I'm like, oh, I'm good, and it's no, these things
Yeah,
they
the
all go.
minute you don't respect them, the minute you don't
Yeah,
respect them is when you get hurt. It was the same thing like when I used to ride motorcycles back in the day. The minute you don't respect the bike, that's when you get hurt. Oh, I can do that, and then all it takes is one little mistake, a rock in the road on a skateboard or some sand on the ground on your motorcycle, and before you know it, you're on the ground. And the one thing about a
yeah,
lot of people nowadays, when we ride, we're normally riding right next to cars and stuff, and that's always been like kind of like
yeah,
one of my biggest fears is like falling next to a car or something, you know, and
yeah. What happens?
yeah, could be real bad.
Yeah, that scares me a lot too. 'Cause I've never fallen in the street, so it's kind of a good thing, and that's always terrifying because you're gonna get something's gonna happen. Either your board's gonna get run over, or go into the street. And it's like you don't know what's gonna happen from it.
Yep.
So it's always the things after the ride I think back on. I'm like, oh, I could have went differently, but that's why it's kind of like I got trying to realize that you don't have to go. I don't have to go full throttle everywhere. It doesn't do anything. It's,
Yeah.
that's why it's, I think like the film helps. Like, hey, you gotta slow down and be safe, be a better advocate, things like that. Because I want people to be on boards. I want all the skateboarders. I want them to come over, and they're hard sell because they don't like anything different. They want everything to be. They like everything the same. So it's kind of I know it's going over some groups, like the electric, the regular skateboarding group. It's just no electric, nothing. Like you are bitten. It's not allowed. But it's the same. It's like I want them to realize, like, hey, like there's gonna come a time where you might want to ride one of these because you don't want to push anymore. It has nothing to do with not wanting to push or anything like that. But it's like you might not be able to, or it's just a totally different sport in a way. That's what it is. Totally different,
Yep.
but very similar, but different. And I'm just kind of caught in where I'm kind of in it too. So it's like I'm so passionate about skateboarding, electric skateboarding, want to combine them both, and just trying to grow the community a little bit to kind of show like, hey, electric skateboarders love what you guys are doing. Like we have nothing but respect for the skateboarders. I mean, I'm not sliding down hills or jumping stairs and stuff. I think that's really cool. And it's just not that I expect them all to be crazy about seeing like skateboard videos or anything, but just kind of I don't know that hey, it's a good option for people down the road one day.
And that was one of the things that we was really trying to share in the film. It's and one of the things people was talking about is we touched on a lot of stuff. Transportation equity, community, mental health, self care, and then
Yeah.
even the whole idea of whether you want to or not, we're all ambassadors for the sport, and how one person acts
Oh yeah.
really impacts us all. Even out here in Atlanta,
Every-
we had a guy. He fell and died on a scooter, a regular, like a bird scooter or something. Well, it was actually like 3 or 4 people over the course of like 5 months. And because of it, the city of Atlanta said, we're going to implement um, a rule where the bird scooters no longer work past like 8:30 at night or something to that effect. But what if you're a person that works a night
Oh well.
shift,
Yeah.
and when you get off work, you got 2 miles after you get off the bus to get to your house, and you used to ride a bird scooter. Now you can't ride a bird scooter because somebody died on one because they were wilding out at midnight, just acting crazy on them. So, or even like the EUCs or or scooters or any other e-skate. When those videos look cool on instant 360 cameras, where people are weaving in and out of traffic, and it look cool, but
Yeah.
when people look at that from the outside, it's kind of like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like it makes people who are not from our community. Uh-oh. Can you still you can still hear me, right? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. One
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
earbuds
I
fell
can.
out. I'm not about to go under the table and get it. um,
Yeah.
yeah.
It
So
was kind of happened to me the other day. A car beeped at me. My first day with the selfie stick. 2 minutes into it, I'm going right down the street, middle of the street, and it's 5 in the morning, so I know there's no one around. But car come behind me, so he beeps at me to move out the way. So I knew he was just being friendly, so I moved out the way a little bit. But a lot of other times, people are yelling at me. I mean, I've been shot with airsoft guns, all sorts of stuff while I'm riding. So a lot of those times, you jump right to chucking the bird, be like, oh, what are you beeping at me for? And like, I'm going around the corner, I turn, look, and I didn't realize until I watched back the film. There was a cop going right the whole time, but he wasn't following me, or he was going into the station, but like, it was just happened to be the whole time of just that happened. So if I would have said, hey, flip him off, just went in the road, did all this, he would have stopped me. I never been allowed to ride again. And I guarantee you, every time they see somebody in the city, they would have stopped them. So it's kind of like it was a eye opening. I saw it, I'm like, oh, hey, it's a
yep,
good thing that I was being respectful and doing what I had to do, even though because he knew what I was doing was wrong. I should not have been in the middle of the road, and he knew it, and because they saw me, and luckily he let me get away. I mean, I had my gear on and all that, so it was like it was early morning, but still, it's like it made me feel, oh well, hey, it's like they will see you, and it's when you're not expecting it, and it's you don't want them to, I don't want them to have any problem at all with what I'm doing or anybody on TV because it's how I get to work and how I have fun. So it's I mean, it's a good feeling to be able to just go to work, and not have to worry about calling Uber or Lyft or call for a ride, and just be independent. And it's like I don't want that taken away because I want to be cool going down the street making a with a selfie stick.
yep.
So, I mean, that must have been a sight for him to see. He was probably like, "Look at this guy!" And I got a full face helmet, selfie stick, out going in the middle of the road. So it's like that's why it's like things like the film. It's good. It's very important because I'm watching
I
them like,
agree.
hey, like I have to take it upon myself to be a better advocate.
I agree a
And
hundred percent.
yeah, it's like I only want more people to be on these things. That's what kind of why too when I started the page because like I'm going around the city and no one knows what these are. So everyone's looking at me. I go in a store, it's everyone's looking at it right away. What is that? What is that? And you look at the wheels. Wow, the wheels are huge. Or it's on the street. People are saying things, or kids are saying things. So I'm like, wow, people don't know what is this is. So I'm like, I want to spread the word out. So I started my page because I got sick of sharing it on my personal page. Like, people don't want to keep hearing about me. So let me do it this way. But then it just transformed into the whole cross skateboarding thing, and now it's kind of two communities in one, and which is cool, which is great because I love both of them. I love the skateboard community, and I love like the TV community. And the skateboarders are very they show support. Like they're very comment. They go out of their way to tell you if they like it or they don't like it, and so it's cool to kind of feel the community come out of it after putting in work into it. something
Exactly.
where it's I kind of feel like you're doing it for nothing for a while. It's like, oh, I got a full Facebook page or this and that, but when you actually see it all of a sudden turn around, you're like, oh wow, it's like it actually could make a difference in the things I wanted, the messages I do want to share with people, and now it's going to reach more people. It's cool. And or the content I like say I'm sharing your video, Esk8TV video. Now more people are going to see it. So it's cool. It's kind of like I don't know. It's neat. It's kind of like a little journey, kind of to lead to the YouTube thing, to when I'm ready to make the content that I want to make. Where so I just want to make sure I can deliver the right message and all that to get my emotion out the right way.
And I'm sure you will, man, because
And
all
watching
of
videos
it's a
like you and
discovery
stuff,
process.
it helps.
Yep, you just discovering it. It's a discovery process, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's for sure. That's why it's such a stud. It's learn as much as I can. It's so much to learn from it, and not try to not make so many. I realize also making excuses too. That holds you back. I mean, I things like a selfie stick, $9. Go buy a selfie stick, $9. And I'm putting it off for 3 years now. I'm only doing POV videos where it's like I went and bought one the other day. And I'm like, why did I not buy this 2 years ago when
Yeah.
I would have totally done it? It's
Yep.
me not just not knowing exactly the whole and also not be able to talk to people too. Like where I can't like this is the first time they'll sit down with a creator and talk and kind of like or someone who shares the same kind of like passions or like someone who's crazy about like PVs because like when I'm talking to people in my normal day life, it's not they don't do it, so they don't understand fully because everyone kind of has their own hobbies. So it's no, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk and kind of pick your brain a little bit and because I love your work, I love what you do, and I'm definitely gonna keep following, that's for sure.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. I think we all inspire each other, you know. We all got inspiration from
Oh,
somebody
definitely.
and just try to build on it.
Yeah, it's it's definitely it's gonna be fun to see where this all leads everybody in the next couple of years. I mean, just from when I joined the PV community back in 2020 until now, it's just so different. And it's just the way the community's grown, things that are happening, like at Esk8Con now, you got like M boards putting on those type of events, like them too, and we got to give them some credit too for being stepping up and putting on events like this and like Electric Racing League and all them guys.